वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी गोपीजन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुना तीरा वनचारी राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram. Jai Om Shtupata Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotra Shita Shishmati Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravindha Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Namacharya Haridas Thakur ki प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की ब्रजभूमि वृंदावन धाम की मथुरा धाम की द्वारकापुरी धाम की कुरुक्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की श्री मायापुर नवदीप धाम की गंगामय यमुनामयी की भक्ति देवी तुलसी देवी की समावेत भक्त वृंद की all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Shravanmelitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sakitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Let us recite this verse 10.16.28. Yat yat shiro na namatenga shataika shirshnash tattan mamarda kharadanda dharongripatai Sheenayusho brahmataval banamasyato srang Nasto vaman paramakashmalamapanaga Yadyachiro nanamatenga shataika shirshnas Tattan mamarda kharadanda dharongripatai Krinayusho bhramata vulbanamasyato Nasto vaman paramakashmalamapanaga Yadyachiro nanamatenga shataika shirshnas Tattanmamarda kharadandha darongripatai Ksheenayusho bhramata vulbanamasyato Nasto vaman paramagashmalamapanaga Yadyachiro nanamatenga shataika shirshnas Tattanmamarda kharadanda darongripatai Ksheenayusho bhramata vulbanamasyato Nasto vaman paramakashmalamapanaga Yadyachiro nanamatenga shataika shirshnas Tattanmamarda kharadanda dharongripatai Ksheenayusho bhramata vulbanamasyato Nasto avaman paramakashmalamapanaga Mataji Yadyachiro nanamatenga shataika shirshnas Tattanmamarda kharadanda dharongripatai Ksheenayusho bhramata vulbanamasyato Nasto vaman paramagashmalamapanaga Yadyat Whichever Shiraha Heads Nanamate would not bow down Anga My dear King Parikshit Shatayeka Shirshnaha of him who had 101 heads Tat Tat those Mamarda trampled down Khara on those who are evil Danda punishment Dharaha the Lord who exerts Angripataihi with the blows of his feet Chinayushaha of Kalia whose life was becoming depleted Brahmataha who was still moving about Ulbanam terrible Asyataha from his mouths Asrid blood Nastaha Ashtaha from his nostrils Nastaha from his nostrils Vaman vomiting Parama extreme Kashmalam trouble Apa experienced Nagaha the serpent. So the Kalia had 101, it is mentioned here. Actually, he had 1,000 hoods, but 101 were prominent, prominent ones. My dear king, Kalia had 101 prominent heads, and when one of them would not bow down, Lord Shri Krishna, who inflicts punishment on cruel wrongdoers, would smash that stubborn head by striking it with his feet. Then, as Kalia entered his death throes, he began wheeling his head around and vomiting ghastly blood from his mouth and nostrils. The serpent thus experienced extreme pain and misery. Srila Vishwanath Thakur says, Shateka here means 100 chief heads. Because in the 30th verse, 1000 heads are mentioned. Krishna suddenly jumped upon those heads which had not bowed down, striking them with his feet. Blood began to flow from Kalia's mouths and noses. Yeah, Ulbanam means profuse. He was almost dead. Kshinayusha, it says. He experienced pain because blood flowed from his nostrils and mouths, blocking the opening, so he could not even breathe properly. So, there is one verse before that you will recite also. एवं परिभ्रमः तौजसमुन्नतांसम् आनं यतत्पृतुशिरः स्वधिरूढ आद्यः तन्मूर्धरत्ननिकरस्पर्शाति ताम्र पादाम्बुजोऽखिलकलादिगुरुर्ननर्त एवं परिभ्रमः तौजसमुन्नतांसम् आनं यतत्पृतुशिरः स्वधिरूढ आद्यः तन्मूर्धरत्ननिगरस्पर्शाति ताम्र पादाम्बुजो अखिलकलादिगुरुर्ननर्त Having severely depleted the serpent's strength with his relentless circling, Sri Krishna, the origin of everything, pushed down Kalia's raised shoulders and mounted his broad serpentine heads. Thus, Lord Sri Krishna, the original master of all fine arts, began to dance, his lotus feet deeply reddened by the touch of the numerous jewels upon the serpents' heads. Welcome all of you for the Srimad Bhagavatam class this morning. We are reciting from the 10th canto, 16th chapter. Krishna chastises the serpent Kalia. Vrindavan is a beautiful abode of the Lord, where all the devotees who reside there are pure devotees. They are free from envy, they are free from any malice, free from propensity for sense gratification. They are free from competitive mentality. They are free from violent nature. Rather, they are always in a service mood and mood of respect for one another and mood of love and affection and appreciation for each other. It is said Vrindavan Dham is such an abode, even tigers and deers, they drink water together in Yamuna. There is a verse which says that. Yatra naisarga durvairaha saha sanmrugadayah mitrani iva ajitavasa Dhrutarshakadikam. That verse says Brahma noticed that Vrindavan is an abode where there is no fear, there is no anger, there is no hunger, there is no thirst. Vrindavan abode is free from all these shortcomings. On the contrary, everybody in Vrindavan is thinking how to express my love for Krishna by rendering service to Krishna in some way. So you will read in the 10th canto, 15th chapter, when Krishna is entering the forest along with Balaram, the cuckoos are cooing and welcoming Krishna. The peacocks are dancing and welcoming Krishna. The deers are glancing at Krishna Balaram with love-laden eyes and welcoming the Lord. Yamuna is throwing lotus on Krishna's lotus feet. And the trees are yielding ripe fruits and fully blossomed flowers for Krishna Balaram to accept. And the bumblebees sitting in the lotuses in Yamuna, like red lotus, yellow lotus, blue lotus. So they are all laden with honey, but the bumblebees find going to forest with Krishna as more enjoyable. So they even leave behind the honey in the flowers and they go with Krishna. So in such a beautiful Vrindavan abode, where Lord Krishna appeared in this world, why would such a deadly, vicious, venomous serpent like Kalia, how he was allowed entry into such an abode may be a big question mark for all of you, isn't it? You see, there is a very old history. There were two uh, fellows. One was Kadru and Vinata, two ladies. Kadru and Vinata. So later on, Vinata becomes the mother of all birds. Kadru becomes the mother of all snakes. So they are the first persons the Lord created. So one time Kadru looked at a horse from a distance and said, the tail of that horse is black. What do you say? So Vinata looked at the tail of the horse and saw it was white. He said, it is not black, it is white. But Kadru argued, no, it is black. So then Kadru said that in case it is black, we both will go and see. In case it is black, then your bird race should become servant of the snake race. So we are all snake vamsh. So the Pakshi vamsh should become servant of the snake vamsh, Sarpa vamsh, like that. So Vinata looked at the tail and said, I am sure it's white only. So when they went a little closer, Kadru realized it was actually white only. So what Kadru did, he arranged for one snake to go there and wrap the tail with one black snake. So finally that the tail looked completely black. So in this way he cheated. Who? Vinataya. And then Vinata's Vamsh became servant of the Kadru's Vamsh. Later on, in Vinata's descendants, one very great descendant appeared. His name is Garuda. When Garuda appeared, he said to his mothers and other family members that why should we be having slavery to the snakes? We can get rid of this slavery by having a dialogue with them. So they had a dialogue and it was decided that if Garuda can bring them some amritam, give them some nectar, then they'll be relieved from their slavery completely. Just like, certain king said, if you pay this much tax, we will leave you. So that was a tax, amritam. So Garuda arranged for that amritam and in this way, both families became separated. So Vinata family lived peacefully and Kadru's family lived peacefully. Nevertheless, there was some feeling of previous enmity between the two. Because by cheating, Kadru family had made the Vinata family slaves for a long time. By just like Duryodhana and company, they made Pandavas go to forest by gambling match. In the same manner, this was a foul game they played. So there was some enmity between the two families. That's an old story. And later, in the Kadru's family, you will see that personalities like Vasuki appeared, Kalia appeared. They are all snake dynasty, isn't it? Actually, in the snake dynasty, if you see, Lord Ananta himself assumes the form of a very huge serpent bed, where Lord Vishnu lies. So he is such an intimate servant of the Lord Sankarshan. When Balaram in this world also when he wants to leave this world and go back to his abode, from his mouth a snake comes out. It appears. And then his body vanishes. And then he goes as a snake only back to Godhead. As Ananta only he goes. So, which means Lord Sankarshan anytime can assume the form of a snake. And that kind of form he can take. So, Jaya Shishi Radha Neelamadhav ki. So, if Kalia wants to follow Ananta as his ancestor, he can actually follow and make his life glorious. He had that opportunity. Correct, no? He need not have become spoiled. If you see Bali Maharaj, his father was Virochan. Virochan's father was Prahalad. And Prahalad's father was Hiranyakashipu. So in that dynasty, Bali could have followed Hiranyakashipu. Did he follow? No. He followed whom? Prahalad. So we all have to know in our life who is our role model. That is a very important question. For example, like one devotee is saying, I asked, hey, you have so much free time, why don't you come for Harinam? So he is saying, oh, he is not going, so I am also not going. I said, what about me? I am going, why don't you come? So he is taking example of somebody who is not going. In America, the true story, one father had two sons. And the second son became a very famous high court magistrate in America. Very, very popular, well-known figure. Very glorious. And the first son became a drunkard, and ruined his health and career, and he died also. And the father also was a very great drunkard. And he was a very, very big businessman, crorepati. But because of drinking, he ruined his health and died. So at one time, some staff reporters asked a question to both these boys, elder son and younger son. They asked the elder son, why you have taken to drinking and you are ruining your health? He said, it's all my father who spoiled me. He said, because of my father, I also took to this bad habit of drinking. He died and I am also going to die because of this. Like that he said. The younger son, he told, I learned from my father that I should not drink. Because he drank and he died. But I don't want to drink and die. So I never touched liquor bottle, he said. That means there were two sons. One son, blamed his father for his drinking. Another son, learned some good lessons from the father. Prahlad Maharaj tells Lord Narsimha that, oh Lord Narsimha, there are 3 verses in Prahlada's prayers which talk about time factor. I'll tell you one of the verses. In one verse, what he says, Prahlad, my dear Lord Narsimha, I have never seen anybody so mighty, so powerful as you, because I have witnessed my father's power. When my father assumed the throne of Indra, he was always drunken in liquor and his eyes were reeling. And whenever the devatas would come in front of him, my father would terrify them by twisting his eyebrows and chastising them. And the devatas would put their mukut down along with some gifts, they would run away. They were not having guts to even stand in front of him. My father could control the temperature of the sun. He could control the nature. He was such a mighty man. But despite all this power, when you appeared from the pillar, you put my father on your lap and he tore him to pieces. So now that I have seen your strength with my own eyes, I am not a fool like my father to antagonize you and act against you. Any intelligent person in this world should surrender to you, he said. Because you have killed the most powerful man in the whole universe. Who is? Hiranyakashipu, his father. So he said, which intelligent person will not surrender to you? Because you are like time personified, he said. So, Prahlad Maharaj did not follow his atheistic father. Prithu Maharaj did not follow his atheistic father, Vena. Similarly, Bali Maharaj did not follow his atheistic ancestor, Hiranyakashipu. Bali Maharaj chose to follow Prahlad Maharaj. So similarly, Kalia had that opportunity to say that he can be very proud that I am coming in which dynasty? Dynasty of snakes. And who is the original snake? Ananta. Can follow Ananta Shesh. So you will see that when Kalia became disconnected from the glory of Ananta Shesh, he didn't think about his original snake ancestor. Rather, he became polluted by anger and polluted by envy, and he became very degraded serpent with a lot of stock of poison in his fangs, and he was always in a mood of antagonistic mood. Now, how did Kalia get this antagonistic mood? If you see, there is a story in the Puranas, history of Kalia. Well, who was Kalia in the previous life? It is said in one of the holy river banks, there were many hermitages. And there was a thick forest and lot of trees in that locality, and serene setting. Many sages and saints would sit in the bank of in that river, and they would do meditation, chanting, reciting the Vedic mantras and everything. Anybody can see them in the morning, evening hours. So one sage was living in one of those cottages, one of those hermitages. His name was Vedashira. So one day Vedashira left his cottage to go on a bath in the river. So when he took bath and returned back, in the meantime, one another sage from somewhere else had come, some guest. One Ashvashira came, and he came inside the hut, and he was sitting in the same asana of Vedashira, and he was doing meditation. So when Vedashira came, he was surprised. He asked, "Who are you? You have come and occupied my hut without any sanction from me." Like that he shouted. So Ashvashira said, "You see, Sab Bhumi Gopal ke hai, everything is Gopal. Everything belongs to Lord Krishna. And don't be attached to your hut. If I sit here and do meditation, you sit outside and do meditation. What is there to carry with you in this world?" Like that he said. So that sage became angry. "Hey, you are coming and sitting in my cottage and you are speaking philosophy to me?" He became angry. So then Ashvashira said, "Because you are hissing at me like a snake angrily, you become a snake in your next life." Like that he said. Because you are so envious of other creatures, you are supposed to be friendly with all creatures. But you are becoming envious and inimical. You see, sometimes people become extremely rigid in some policies, and they hiss like a snake for small deviations also. For example, say you have made a policy that once the prasadam is served and everybody is served, then you keep it in the locker, bureau or something, and then night it will be served in food for life. So sometimes a person would come in between and ask, "Can I take some prasad?" Somebody says, no, 8:30 food for life will be going out, there you go and take. That's our policy. But he is coming at 7. He's asking. Once in a while, one should know how to bend the rules. But sometimes a person is so rigid in his policy that he is extremely, like he hisses like a snake, and because of that, sometimes he disheartens devotees. Because of, this is actually called as a Kanishta nature. Kanishta nature means not knowing when to relax the rule, when to be strict with the rule. Correct now? So this is a very difficult topic because people who are neophytes, they can only see black and white. They cannot see the gray zone. They will say this is no, this is yes, but they cannot see in between where rules are relaxed. So, and this is one of the reasons for quarrels in many of the communities. And because this person also will be wondering, if I give for one person, then another 10 others will come. So how do we do that? Like for example, when we went to see in the Delhi, the Swaminarayan temple, in Delhi there's a big temple. So we had gone to see that. So there's a big crowd of people coming in, and if you have to be taken separately by another route, then others will also come there. So what the Swamiji said, Swamiji told me that you 4 of you come with me. So he took us somewhere here like this, somewhere here, and then we went. And from rear end he took us inside. He said, if in the front end, if I take you in the next door, then many will run behind. At the same time, I don't want you to go through the crowd. I want you to escape the crowd. So he took me to another route, 3, 4 of us, when we went. So sometimes we have to relax a rule according to Desh Kal Patra. One should know when to relax. But if we don't know how to relax, then we end up disheartening one another. So then one can. So this hissing of a snake represents envy of the snake. One time His Holiness Danavir Swami Maharaj came to Pune. One fellow was telling that, Maharaj, we don't do the Sunday feast program because people just come, eat and go. They don't become devotees, like that he was telling. So Maharaj was telling, who is giving food? You are giving food or Krishna is giving food? He asked, who is Annadatta? Are you Annadatta? There are many people who came to temple. Initially they came only for prasad. And eventually they sat in kirtan. Eventually they took darshan. And eventually they started rotating mala and chanting japam. Eventually they became devotees. Some of them even dedicated their lives also. And he was telling we should not become envious of those who are eager for prasad. He said, even to be eager for prasad itself is a big qualification in the path of bhakti yoga. There are people who throw the prasad, some beggars. If you give also, somebody is ready to come to temple, extend the hands and ask for prasad. You should never be envious of them. He said, we should know. So, actually, when we become envious of the other living entities, and then we hiss like a snake, although we may be made sometimes some in charge, the in charge doesn't mean everything becomes ours. In charge is one who is a facilitator of the Lord's resources. In charge should be a facilitator of Lord's resources. He is not a person who is holding the facilities and not releasing the facilities for preaching purpose. One example I'll tell you. In one temple, one brahmachari wanted to give in the Adhik Mas, all the 30 days he wanted to give 30 lectures, evening time. And he is a very good reader in scripture. In the Garga Samhita he has read. He has read Goswami literature and everything. He prepared very nice notes. Adhik Mas he wanted to give the 10th cantos, all the childhood pastimes of Krishna and everything, every day evening. So then the temple said that, you see, you want to give every day and people will sit crowding the temple. Why only you should give? There should be opportunity for other preachers also. And he said, okay, if somebody else wants to share, I am also ready to share, he said. Then they announced to all the devotees, who all would like to give Adhik Mas in the temple. Everybody said, we have our own program outside in different places for our own congregation. We don't want to do in temple. So nobody was available. So he was the only one available to give every evening. Then he told, I am ready. If nobody is ready, I am ready. They said, no, we have to put it in the committee. We'll discuss. So the committee was discussing. Adhik Mas came. And the devotee came and said, tomorrow is Adhik Mas starting. I have to print the poster. And WhatsApp message I have ready. I have to send it to all the people. Can I send? He said, committee will discuss and tell. When will the committee tell? After the Adhik Mas is over? So, and the committee was telling, we don't want him to become proud by giving everyday evening lecture for 1 month. That is our conclusion. So, we give no permission. If you want to do it outside wherever you want, not in the temple, they said. So later on, I told the committee, when I met the people, I said that the temple is a facility for glorifying Krishna. And if you are stopping glorifying Krishna in the temple, Krishna will be very angry with you. Eventually the whole committee got scattered. They didn't survive. Why I am telling you this? If you hold facilities provided by Guru Parampara, not for glorifying the Lord, but for showing your tooth, like the Kalia snake, showing your power, then that kind of display of power will be crushed by Krishna. It's only a matter of time. So we should be very careful that, my dear Lord Krishna, give me the sadbuddhi by which I will never become a proprietor of your facilities, which are actually meant for the devotees to glorify you. I should simply be a facilitator. In fact, I should become servant of the devotees and run behind them with facility. Please take this facility, use this, and glorify Krishna. I am simply a servant. I am made a president or I am made a committee member simply to stock the facilities. I want to make sure they are not misused for any wrong purpose, but they should be utilized for the right purpose, which is to glorify Krishna. So we should not try to show our prowess in a wrong way, just because we are given some post or position. So, in the same manner, one devotee is going for a program. He wants to take sweet rice, bucket for the program. So he wanted sumo, he wants. Another devotee is saying, why sumo? Why don't you take omni? Because he is head of the vehicle department. Then the devotee said, no, no, Prabhu, Omni, it will be shaking. Sumo is a little better. Anyway, Sumo is available, why don't you give me? He said, just because it's available, why are you demanding it? It is available, but I want to purify you. So take the Omni. So then the devotee came to me and said, then I told this fellow, "Arey, give the Sumo." Then he gave the Sumo. When I told him as a president, then he gave. But what I am telling, I told the devotee same thing. Don't hold Krishna's facilities out of pride that you are given the vehicle in charge. And by doing this, Krishna will be very displeased with you. You are given facility to facilitate the devotees in propagating Krishna consciousness, not to show off your power and hiss like a snake. So this Kalia, you will see, I mean, that Ashwashira and Vedashira, actually Vedashira was sitting, Vedashira is the owner of the hut, and Ashwashira came. And Ashwashira says, what should he do? If a guest comes to your hut, you should welcome him with a smiling face. One time in Bombay, Prabhupada went to some building and then came out with Shyamsundar Prabhu. And there was a black color car in which Prabhupada, rear end of the car, he opened and sat inside. And the front, some other driver was sitting. And Prabhupada asked Shyamsundar, hey Shyamsundar, who is this sitting in the front? You are supposed to drive. And that driver said, Swamiji, thank you for boarding my car. Ajna dijiye, where can I take you? Like that the man asked. Then Shyamsundar smiled and told, Prabhupada, this is not our car. Our car is the next car. Then Prabhupada got out of the car and told the driver, I'm sorry, our car is here. The driver said, no, Swamiji, no, sorry. My car is blessed now by your sitting in my car. Thank you for, agreeing to sit for a few minutes in my car. Like that, he was very happy. And then while going with Shyamsundar Prabhu, Shyamsundar was driving and Prabhupada was telling him, just see, in India, if you sit in somebody's car, they feel blessed. Or if you, and Prabhupada said in the West, if somebody is going through somebody's property, they put a board, isn't it? Trespassers will be prosecuted. They put a board like that. Somebody can even shoot you also if you go through that property. Whereas he said when there is Vedic culture, when you walk through somebody's property, farmers will be grateful that Swamiji, your feet has touched our land. Now our whole land has become sacred. Similarly, Vedashira should have told Ashwashira that, oh Swamiji, thank you for coming to my hut. You are sitting and doing meditation. Can I give you some prasad? Can I give you some water? Please accept my humble obeisances. That kind of talk you should have spoken. But what did he speak? Who are you talking by my hut? Get out of here. That kind of words he spoke. So then he became cursed to become a snake in the next life. And he also cursed the other sage. He said, you came to my hut like a crow, silently coming inside like a crow, silently comes and picks up a vada or something and flies away. Like that you secretly came into my hut and sitting. So you become a crow in the next life. Like that he said. At that time, immediately Lord Vishnu appeared there. Vishnu appeared there and said, oh, my devotees, both of you, Ashwashira and Vedashira, you both are my devotees. My devotees should not quarrel like this for such a trivial thing. But since you both are Brahmanas and you both have spelled out a curse, your words cannot go wrong. You have to become snake and you have to become crow. But I will make a plan by which both of your life will become glorious. So you will become a snake, but you'll become Kalia snake, he said. And you'll become a crow, but you'll become the most famous Kakabhushandi, great scholar. You'll become Kakabhushandi and you'll become Kalia. Like that he gave them blessing to both of them. So in Ramayana you read about Kakabhushandi, very, very famous character. In the same manner, he became Kalia and he became Kakabhushandi, both of them. They are devotees of the Lord only. Sometimes even devotees can sometimes behave awkwardly like that, occasionally sometimes. It can happen. It happened to them. So we learn a lesson. One lesson we learn is don't go and occupy anybody's place without their invitation. That's one lesson we learn. And don't become a crow. And don't become angry on a guest who has come on their own and coming. Atithi itself means without announcement they come. So now that is the history of Kalia. He had a Purva Janma Vasana of becoming angry on uh, Ashwashira coming and sitting in his hut. Uh, so in the next life he becomes the snake Kalia here. So our vasanas don't go away so easily. They go from one life to the next. Our vasanas are deep-seated in our heart. Just like you will see our Gajendra, in the previous life he was Pandya Raja. He was not properly welcoming Agastya Rishi and his disciples when they arrived. He was like sort of little neglectful, careless, inattentive, we can say, due to which, they came and they became angry, our Agastya, and cursed him to become a dull animal. Which was the dull animal? Gajendra. Gajendra also, while going for a holiday trip to a lake along with the family and friends, he carelessly put his leg in the lake where he was caught by a crocodile. So earlier carelessness caused him curse. Now carelessness caused him the crocodile accident with the crocodile. He got caught and got into trouble. So if any of us lack the proper etiquettes in receiving Vaishnavas properly and respecting Vaishnavas properly, we should make a note and take care that old vasanas don't continue. Some people have a tendency to be impersonal, or careless or inattentive, and they lack proper etiquettes. And our scriptures say that one should welcome guests with a smiling face and sweet words, offer them a sitting place, give them water, give them prasad, make them feel comfortable, give them an accommodation, and take personal care of them. Like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally took care of the Bengali Vaishnavas who used to come to Jagannath Puri. Like that. One cannot be inattentive in this matter. Like when Balram was entering the Sabha, everybody got up and offered obeisances except Ramaharshna Sutta. He was very careless and inattentive. It's called as offense of omission. Similarly, Indra also neglected to offer obeisances to his guru, Brihaspati, when he came. So that is also offense of omission. So offense of omission means failing to offer respect. Offense of commission means criticizing. Like Daksha Prajapati committed offense of criticizing Shiva. That is offense of commission. Or offense of omission, offense of commission, we call it. So, in this way, Gajendra became Gajendra because of inattentiveness and rendering service. And now, due to inattentiveness, he was caught by a crocodile. In the same manner, you will see that crocodile was who? He was who? Gandharva. Correct, no? So in the earlier life, the Gandharva was catching the feet of Devala Rishi and tickling below his feet, just to joke with him, because I think Gandharvas have ample of time. They're singing, singing and hanging around with the apsaras, going to pleasure valleys, singing songs, moving about here and there. So Devala Rishi saw that I want to do Gayatri mantra, but then somebody is tickling the feet. Is it a fish? So he looked down, and then he saw this Gandharva was joking with me. So he became angry, and he said, because you are catching the feet and tickling like this, you become a water creature, he said. So then he went on to become crocodile, But now that old tickling habit is not gone. Now he is tickling the feet of who? Gajendra now. Same habit. There he caught Devala Rishi, now he is catching elephant. So we also will see in our life, the vasanas don't go away very easily. Just like if you have a liquor pot, you throw away the liquor, wash the pot with water and dry it with a dry towel and then smell it, still the smell will come. That's called vasana. Vasana means even after you stop the habit, there is a lingering habits. So in the Dhenukasur pastime, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, when Dhenukasur came running, when Balram was shaking the tal tree, that time Krishna told Balramji to kill Dhenukasur. So Dhenukasur turned around and kicked Balram from his hind legs. Actually, therefore, Ash is called a fool. Because if you hit from the front, somebody is catching the feet, you can hit with the head. Like this. Whereas he is showing the back and hit from behind. When he hit like this, easily he could catch the feet. And he can't escape, correct, no? Basically, he's telling you can catch my feet. And then he caught the feet and whirled him. Zoom, 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 zoom. Psh, like that he threw him on the top of a tree. After that, many other donkeys came running. Correct, no? Who are those donkeys? Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, they are lingering habits, he says. That means that Dhenukasa is the main habit of proprietorship mentality, but there are many lingering habits which are like vasanas. They don't, then Krishna kills those donkeys. So, in the same manner, the old vasanas continue in the next life. So, right now, all of us, when we are born in this world, you can take a snapshot of your mental scripts now. So, at the beginning of this life, whatever mental scripts you have are the scripts which you ended your previous life with. Whatever way you finished your Purva Janma, from there, those same scripts will be found in the next Janma beginning. Now, from the next Janma beginning to the next Janma end, there should be improvement or no improvement? There has to be improvement. That means, what are the scripts my mind has? Kama, Krodha, Lobha. We should write down and find out. Let me slowly plug them out one by one. And then by the end of this life, I should have an improvised subtle body. And then who knows if subtle body is completely surcharged with spiritual vibrations, then we go back to Godhead. If it is not, at least we have a better scripts now than the previous life scripts. So, Bhishma Pitama has given 50 instructions in Mahabharata, where he says that these 50 principles of conduct, if anybody follows, they will develop sadachar, good behavior. And he says, I'll just show you. See this, see it says here, living the full life in 50 instructions from Mahabharata. The detailed treatment of this specific dialogue can be found in Mahabharata Anushasan Parva, chapter 104. You find this. So he says that if one follows this 50, here he says here, see what Bhishma, Yudhishthira is asking, oh grandfather, the Vedas clearly stipulate that a man has a life of 100 years. If this is the case, why does a man often die before completing his full lifespan? Also tell me, how does one obtain fame in this life? How does one obtain prosperity? So three things he's asking. Instead of dying at 100, why people die in 70 only, 80 only? And also, how we can obtain fame and prosperity in this life. So Bhishma is replying, it is good conduct, achar, that ensures a long lifespan. Prosperity and fame are also obtained through good conduct only. The one who takes recourse to good conduct, even if his whole body be sinful, removes anything that is inauspicious. Actually, the sign, lakshana of dharma is good conduct only. Now I will enumerate the rules of conduct which lead to a reduction in one's lifespan. See, then he says 50 things. If you do these 50 things, your life will be reduced, which means you should not do these 50 things. So, then he goes on to talk about this. See, if you see here, those are Nastikas, non-believers in the Vedas. Those who do not do anything, Nishkriya, lazy fellows. Those who go against the word of Shastras or Guru, all these have their lifespan reduced. And then he's saying, one should never be stubborn against one's Guru. If the Guru is unhappy with us, we should make all efforts to please him. There is no doubt that criticizing the Guru burns down a man's age. One who crushes mounds of earth, uproots grass, bites his nails, eats food tasted by others, and is restless, such a person does not obtain a long life. A person must wake up at Brahma Muhurta and ruminate over his dharma and artha. And then he should get up from his bed, have his bath, and then with folded hands perform his morning sandhya facing the east. In the same way, evening sandhya should also be performed facing the west, because the sun is in the west in the evening. Whichever direction sun is, in that direction you face. It being imperative that no conversation should be made with others during the two sandhyas. The rishis of the yore gained a long life only by performing the two sandhyas. Therefore, restraining the speech at that time, one must respectively face the east morning and west in the evening. Twice born who do not perform the two sandhyas follow adharma. And then Bhishma's way, and then he's saying one should never look at either the rising sun or the setting sun, nor look at the sun during an eclipse or at the middle of the day. So like that he says, whatever be one's varna, should never have intercourse with another person's wife. For a man, there is nothing which shortens a lifespan as much as having intercourse with another person's wife. Dressing one's hair, applying kajal to eyes, brushing teeth and doing puja to gods, all this should be done only before noon. He's saying, before the noon. See, one must never look at urine or excrement. One must not speak when passing urine. When we should never do these two functions in water or in a cow shed. One should never pass urine while standing. See here. So like this, many things he's saying. See here, one more thing he's saying here. See here, one must not speak while eating. One should not criticize the food one is having. For a lifelong span, one should face east while eating food. For fame, south, and for wealth, west. Having finished eating, one should mentally touch fire. And that will digest the food. So, one should eat only while sitting and never standing or walking around. People eat nowadays fast food while standing, correct, no? One must wash one's feet before eating food. And one should eat with one's, that is, one should eat with one's feet wet. But one should not go to sleep with wet feet. A person who washes his feet before eating lives for 100 years. In addition, one should not eat food cooked by a woman having her monthly periods and all that he's saying. So in this way he goes on, many things are there, like there's 50 principles. So many of these principles we may not, they are simple ones. One should, but why I was telling you, now here he teaches the conduct. He is teaching the conduct here. By following the conduct, gradually good behavior will increase and our old habits can be given up. That is one lesson we learned. Now, you will see Kalia in his prayer, later on will blame the Lord. He will say that, see, you only gave me the snake's body and the snakes by nature are envious. So if you say that I am envious and I have poison, ultimately you are the creator of all the 8.4 million species. So why do you blame me that I have poison? Is it a correct argument? No. Why it's not a correct argument? Because he got a snake's body because of his previous behavior. Correct, no? He has earned either merit or demerit based on his previous act. So Lord cannot be blamed. And we are getting a particular type of body. Like some of you may say, I got a tamoguni body, I feel sleepy all day. God has given me this body, you should blame him only. Can you say that? No. Actually, we can get out of this tamoguna by making an effort, by adopting good conduct, like Bhishma is saying. See, if good conduct, good behavior, good speech, good lifestyle cannot change us, then what is the meaning of Shastra? Shastras are given so that we can change. So, this is this Kalia. Kalia's history I told you, how Kalia became Kalia. Now, Kalia was living along with the other snakes, but he had one peculiar behavior. He never cared for anybody's instruction at all. He doesn't bother about who is senior, who is junior, and who is equal, and who is very senior. He didn't bother about anybody. He thought, I am independent, I am autonomous, I can do whatever I want. That was his mood and mindset. Very independent fellow. At one point of time, Garuda used to come to different places. Sometimes he would take a fish from a pond. Sometimes he would pick up snakes. So the snakes living in one locality, where Kali was also living, the leader of those snakes was Vasuki. So all the snakes went and complained to Vasuki. They said, we cannot live peacefully. Anytime Garuda can come and pick us up and he will kill us. So we are very worried. We have lost our peace of mind. Then Vasuki, the leader, he went to Brahmaji and placed a petition that we are having a problem with Garuda. And Garuda is a very special personality. He is servant of Lord Vishnu. We can't fight with him. So we have come to complain to you. You are actually considered to be a father of all the living beings. You should protect us. So Brahma then discussed with Garuda and he made an arrangement. What is the arrangement? He said every month, on one day, I think Purnima day, I think, the snakes will offer you a huge mountain of fruits and they will also offer you some snake also, along with that. So you eat less snake and then more of fruits. It will be offered to you under one tree. There is a specific tree. So they will give it as a bali for you. Accept it. Other time, even if you come there to the snak's abode, you will not touch any of them. And Garuda agreed for this. Garuda said, yes, I will follow. I follow this rule, what you have made. And Garuda agreed, Vasuki also agreed, and Brahmaji was happy because Brahma is supposed to make everybody happy, all the living beings. He made an arrangement. And this arrangement was going on for a while. At one point of time, Kalia came to know this and he thought, why should we oblige to Garuda? He thought like that. And then he said, okay, you guys have put all this mountain of fruits for him. I will eat them all. So he went and ate all of them. And then when Garuda came there, he understood Kalia's mentality. He chastised Kalia and said, hey, why are you not following the policy? Policy is made that this is kept for me once in a month. And I am agreeing to not touch any of you. Kalia said, do what you wish. I don't care about you. Every month they keep it. I will be your competitor. I will eat it. Nobody can ask me why. Jo karna kar lo. People say, like that you are speaking. So now Garuda became angry. And there was a fierce fight between Garuda and Kalia. So that Kalia thought that I will tear Garuda to pieces, he was thinking. But Garuda was extremely mighty, very strong. With his golden wings, he slapped and Kalia several times. Pat, 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 pat. He hit Kalia. So actually Garuda is Lord's carrier. And Garuda is so strong, Lord takes the whole Mandara Parvata and keeps on the back of Garuda. Can you imagine how strong Garuda must be? With a tenacious body. And Kalia very soon realized, I can't be a good combat for him. I am very tiny. So now Kalia started fleeing for his life. And then he landed up where? He entered into Vraja and entered into Yamuna lake for a reason. Because in Yamuna, our Garuda was prohibited to come there by Sobra Muni's curse. Therefore, he came and took shelter of Yamuna. Now the glory of Kalia is what? He got several spiritual contacts. The first spiritual contact he got was the slap of Garuda. By that slap, he got the Sadbuddhi to go to Vrindavan and to take shelter of Yamuna. See, even if you get slapped by a devotee, you are fortunate. You can see the blessing. Otherwise, he could have gone somewhere else. He came to Yamuna. So he got contact of Garuda. He got contact of Yamuna. Yamuna is very dear to Krishna, isn't it? Not only that, he had his wives, Nagapatnis, who are all pure devotees. So he had their contact also. And because of these three contacts, he got the contact of dust of Krishna's lotus feet on his head. That will come in a later verse. The Kalia's wives, Nagapatnis, in one of the songs they will sing. Kasyanubhavo janadeva vidmahe tavangri renusparashadhikara yadvanchaya shri lalana charatapo vihaya kaman suchiram dhritavrataha. They are saying, my dear Lord Krishna, you are dancing on the hoods of our husband Kalia. How blessed he has become. Even Lakshmi ji is sitting in Vrindavan with folded palms, meditating on your lotus feet, begging you to give her entry in rasa dance. And she wants some dust of your lotus feet on her head. Even Lakshmi is seeking that. And you are not giving her. But you are giving for our husband, Kalia. So what punya has this fellow done? Kim taptam, kim punyam, like that they're asking. What tapasya has he done? What punya has he done that you're dancing on his head? The only punya he did was he got Nagapatni as his wife. That's the only qualification. They are all pure devotees. By their prayer, Krishna decided to deliver Kalia. So he is dancing. So in this way, when Krishna decided to dance over Kalia, see, for Krishna everything is Leela. See, the very meaning of the word Leela means playful activity. Like when you want to subdue the pride of Indra, what does he do? He lifts like a child lifting a mushroom. Either he's lifting a Govardhan hill and then keeping all devotees below the Govardhan, having a beautiful, playful pastime. Very smoothly he kicks off Indra's pride. So one Acharya has written, to crush the mountain of pride of Indra, Krishna lifted another mountain. And that too with his left hand, tiny finger. And in this way he crushed the mountain of pride in Indra's head. Similarly, here Krishna is crushing the pride of the serpent Kalia by entering into Yamuna. When Krishna entered into Yamuna and climbed on the hoods of Kalia and dancing here, about which we heard. So here it says here, Evam paribramah taujasamullatamsam Anam yatat pratushira swadhirudha adyaha Tanmurdnaratna nikara sparshati tamra Padambujo khila kaladi gurur nanarta. Yeah. So, Pada Ambujo, Krishna's lotus feet, Akila Kaladi Guru Nanarta. There are 64 kalas. For all the kalas, the supreme master of all of them is Krishna. And that guru of all the kalas, like Bharatanatyam, if a girl has to do Arangetram, 7 years she has to practice. And there are many girls who are expert in dancing, but Krishna is the original dancer. He danced so beautifully on the hoods of Kalia that next verse says that when Gandharvas and Apsaras saw that, they were so amazed. Tam nartumudyatam avekshya tadiyya Gandharva siddha municharana deva vadvaha Prityam mridanga panavanaka vadya gita Pushpopahara nutibihi sahasopaseduhu When tam nartum udditam aveksha, when Gandharvas and Siddhas and Charanas and Apsaras, they all saw Krishna dancing, Gandharva, Siddha, Muni, Charana, and Devavadvaha means Apsaras. When they all saw that, Pritya, they became very pleased and charmed and enthused to take their respective instruments, Mridanga, Panava, Anaka, Vadya Gita. Some of them started singing, some of them started playing those instruments, and Apsara started dancing. And not only that, Pushpopahara Nutibi, they were showering flowers. And Krishna was dancing. The whole universe was rejoicing except Kalia. Kalia felt like the whole Brahmanda is dancing on his head. Because inside Krishna's belly there is whole universe. So he felt like that. And not only that, while Krishna was dancing, so after the class you go to the garden and see Kalia. Yesterday I was sitting and chanting there. On one hood Krishna is dancing, other hoods are looking at Krishna. Who is this fellow? You will see all the other hoods are watching. Hey, this fellow is dancing on my hood. How to bite him and get him down? So the other hoods are lifted to bite Krishna. Krishna would jump on that hood and he would kick that with his foot. And he would kick the third one, the fourth one. And that is said in the next verse. You will see this. Yad yad shiro namatenga shataika shirshnas Tattanmamarda kharadanda dharongripatai Shinayusho brahmata vulvanamasya tusram Nasto avaman parama kashmalamapanaga. See, yat shiro nanamate, whichever head was not ready to surrender, what Krishna would do, tattan mamarda karadhanda, dharo angri patehi. And that particular hood, Krishna would jump and give a kick and make him subdue. So what are these different hoods? For example, this Kalia was not following the program made by Brahma. Brahma is somewhat like GBC, isn't it? And Vasuki is like a temple president. Brahma is here and Vasuki is here. So sometime a temple president goes to GBC and GBC clarifies and makes some policy and everybody should follow. And Kalia is one of the members of the community, correct? No? But is he following Vasuki? Is he following Brahma? Is he accepting Garuda's proposal? He is not listening to anybody. This is an example of a whimsical devotee, independent-minded devotee. He wants to be autonomous. He doesn't want to be controlled by anybody. Some of these people will leave ISKCON, go and start some activities on their own. They will do that. They will say Hare Krishna Center, something like that. They will make it. Some name they will give and they will run their own show. They will not be under GBC or they will not be under Divisional Council. They will not be under any temple, under any devotee. They want absolute independence. They want to be Swarat. Like whom? Like Krishna. Krishna is Swarat. Kalia is not Swarat. But Kalia is thinking that I will also be independent like Krishna. They want to be like Krishna. But Krishna is all good. Samam bonam means sum total of all good. This fellow is all bad. He is all bad and he wants total independence. If you are all good, then Krishna will give you independence also. You see Narada. Krishna has told him you can go anywhere and play veena and travel anywhere. You first become all good, then you will get freedom. He doesn't want to become all good, but he wants freedom. He wants freedom for mischief. That's what he wants. Therefore, each of these hoods represents Kalias opposing Vasuki, opposing Brahma, opposing Garuda, opposing everybody and being independent minded. And Krishna jumped over and said, you are opposing, take this. Get one kick now. He gave him kick after kick, one hit he gave on each of them. See, sometimes you have multiple authorities above you. You get confused whom to follow. We generally follow the easy course. Whichever direction will be easy for us and which will fan our sense gratification. We accept that policy, generally speaking. So, and here Kalia may say that Vasuki is saying and Garuda is saying and Brahma is saying, there are too many authorities for me, I am confused. No, sir, you can't be confused. All are saying only one thing only. They are not saying different things. They are all saying only one thing. They say, don't be independent minded, that's all. Just follow what policy is made. Similarly, you will find Priyavrat Maharaj is the opposite example to Kalia. He had also three authorities above him. His immediate guru and mentor was Narada. And Swayambhava Manu at that time was having no Kshatriya to rule the world. So he came and requested him that please take up the kingship of the world, otherwise the world is going to be ruined. But he politely refused. So he didn't want to take that type of role. Then Brahma was requested by Swayambhava Manu to deal the matter. If president cannot handle, then the matter goes to GBC. And GBC and president, they sit together, come up with a plan. Then they both came and then Brahma came. When Brahma landed on the Mandara Parvat, along with rishis and munis and devatas and swan carrier bringing him, it's a very big thing. Immediately, our Prabhat understood that matter is serious now. So whatever my superiors say, I will agree. Then you will find all three of them were in one page. That is Brahma, Narada and Swayambhava Manu. They all told him that you take the world rule, become a king. You have the script to be a very good king. You can do that. So he accepted that. So here is Priyavrat who is accepting three different authorities. All three are Mahajans. Narada is Mahajan, Swayambhava Manu is Mahajan and Brahma is Mahajan. All three are saying and he accepted. Here is Vasuki who is not accepting either Garuda or Vasuki or Brahma. So this Kalia is not accepting any three of them. You will see that. So you can compare these two examples. We should behave like Vasuki we should behave like Kalia or like Priyavrat. Ask yourself, what is our behavior? So, if we behave like Kalia, we will be punished by Krishna and purified, like the way he is purifying here. If you behave like Priyavrat, you will be glorified and you will be empowered. In the Bhagavatam, there is one verse which says, our Priyavrat became greatly empowered to do great things in this world. He is very much glorified as a pure devotee. Later on, Brahmaji personally delivered Priyavrat and took him back to Godhead. You will see that. Because he faithfully followed the instructions of superiors, he was taken back to Godhead. Even though there were challenges. On the other hand, because of not following the Kalia, he had to really follow Krishna and superiors by being thoroughly purified. By, as we see in this verse, Krishna danced very beautifully. His dance was very artistic. Akila Kala, Gurur, Nanartha. So, in Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, he says, when Krishna was dancing, moving from one hood to another hood, he exactly knew which hood to keep the feet. And he was dancing very beautifully. When he was dancing, he was also making, we call as a konnakol sounds. Like that he would hit one feet. And then that head would be crushed like this. He would be vomiting poison and blood and smoke. And that neck is defeated now. Then he will slowly lift another one to attack Krishna. Again, like that he would do. Then again, that also would be defeated. So one by one, Krishna jumped in this way, that way. So then the result was, Kalia was completely humbled by Krishna's dance. Kshina Yusho, his Ayush became Kshin. Brahmataha, he was moving his head, as he says. Ulbanamasyatosam. So he vomited blood, smoke, everything from his mouth. Paramakashpalamapana. Actually, he surrendered after experiencing tremendous pain and purification. See, this is what we call as manashashtani indriyani prakritistani karshati. See? So that means we have to do this manashashtani indriyani prakritistani karshati if we don't surrender. If we surrender, then the resistance is finished. Then Krishna's mercy can smoothly flow through us, like it happened with Priyavrat Maharaj. So Arjuna also surrendered at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, Karishye Vachanam Tava. So one of the lessons I told in the beginning of the class today is that the previous scripts stick on to us. We should be very careful. We should make specific plans to. Sometimes you have a pen. The pen thing has become like this, so it falls off. Then what do? You open the top and then you bend it like this. You have seen that? How many of you know you make extra bend you make? Correct? Why you make extra bend? So that when you put it, it will be stiff. Then it will not come out. You make like this. Similarly, if you know that like Bharat Maharaj became little careless, slack. Jada Bharat, like that area. He tightened it. He became very strict devotee, additional strict devotee in his habit. So therefore, Jada Bharat didn't fall down. He went back to Godhead. So we should identify vasanas and we should become extra strict with our vasanas. That was the first thing we learned. And another thing we learned is who becomes a snake? An envious person becomes snake. Which means we should not be envious of anybody, either devotees or non-devotees. And if we are holding any post, we should hold it only as a facilitator. Facilitator of the Lord's resources for the devotees to use in glorifying the Lord. We should always remember that. We should not hold on to a post just for controlling others or bossing over others. That's another lesson we learned. And third lesson we learned about how we should not be autonomous or independent minded, whimsical. Whichever community you're living in, move along with devotees, with everybody. Don't become independent. Follow the policies made. GBCs, temple presidents and seniors, everybody works very hard to make the policies. If one person doesn't follow, others also will not follow. So everybody should flow with the wind, following the temple's rules and regulations, not become independent minded in fulfilling our own demands of our minds. So Kalia was example for autonomous and independent-minded fellow. On the contrary, we saw a good example of Privrat Maharaj. So we can learn so many lessons from the life of this snake Kalia and his behavior. And also the sweet Krishna, how in a very artistic way, while satisfying all the devotees, he is relieving Kalia of his false ego and purifying him. Actually, Kalia became purified completely by this. So later on, one last thing I will say, and I'll conclude the lecture. When Krishna saw that Kalia has become humble, he is also offering prayers to him. So Krishna looked at Kalia's, the treasury, from where Kalia told Krishna that now I want to decorate you beautifully. Actually, Kalia always is not in a snake form. So he can be like a human-like form also, but he assumes a snake form. Same thing with Aghasura also. So later on, Kalia assumes a human-like form. At that time, Kalia wants to decorate Krishna. So he's decorating just like a pujari decorates the deities. While decorating, Krishna is watching, there is one very costly jewel in Kalia's treasury. So Krishna is wondering whether he will keep it in the side for himself or he is going to offer to me. And without fail, Kalia sure enough took it and offered to Krishna. Now Krishna understood. He has given up his envy. He is offering the best thing to Krishna, not keeping the best thing for himself. Similarly, all of us, we should offer everything best we can to Krishna and his devotees, and then they will take care of everything. Srila Prabhupada ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki. Thank you very much.